Welcome to the Master the NEC podcast, the ultimate destination for anyone passionate about the electrical trade. Whether you're a seasoned electrician, an eager apprentice, or just someone who wants to dive deep into the world of electrical work, you've come to the right place. Join your host, Paul Abernathy, a true authority in the industry with over 38 years of trade experience, as he electrifies your mind with in-depth discussions, expert tips, and valuable insights that will keep you ahead of the curve. Each episode, Paul will illuminate the complexities of the trade, decode the National Electrical Code, and share the latest industry trends, all while empowering you to take your electrical career to the next level. So, gear up, plug in, and get ready to supercharge your knowledge, because with the Master the NEC podcast, the power is in your hands. Now get ready. Here is your host, Paul Abernathy.
What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Master the NEC, the podcast, where I talk about just about anything electrical. And on today's topic, it's no exception, except for today, we're going to talk a little bit more about service and servicing your customer. And we're going to talk about 5 tips on how to handle an upset customer. Now, it's not always an irate customer. It's somebody that seems just dissatisfied. Maybe they think your bill was too high. Maybe there's something that occurred that just got them a little upset. And at the end of the day, you want a happy customer, because a happy customer is a return customer. It's word of mouth is still the best form of marketing, because when you do something good for somebody and you really hit it home, they go out of their way to tell people. If you do something bad for them or you leave them with a bad taste in their mouth, they're going to also go out of their way to go and say something bad about you. So there's the good and the bad with the word of mouth. And so we want to talk about that a little bit today's episode. So I'm going to give you 5 key tips, and these are going to seem like these are just the duh kind of moment where you're going to sit there and say, Paul, I knew this. The problem is, people know this, they understand the rationale behind the common sense approach to dealing with an upset customer, but they don't really think about it in the sense of, let me sit down and identify the different steps to how to deal with this, because they get caught up in the moment and they say, well, I don't need to practice this, I don't need to rehearse this, I don't need to, and you do. And a lot of times, I will explain to people, especially when I'm mentoring different contractors and their staff, and how to deal with the customer, how to deal with an irate customer. And sometimes you got to remember the mentality where the customer is always right may not be true. They might not be right, but there's a tactful way that you can deal with it. And there's an approach to do it. And we all have to fight that urge to have that animalistic instinct to want to fight. And we have to learn how to subdue that. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit today. I'm going to give you my 5 tips for handling upset customers. And again, it's not going to matter whether they're upset over a bill, upset over something that happened. You can approach every situation the same way. And you know what? These are actionable, so you can try to use them in your daily practice as an electrical contractor or whatever service-oriented business you're in. So let's look at these. So number 1, and I think is that, and I have the same problem with this one, because this is a biggie, is to listen first, talk second. Now, let me explain that a little bit. Now, when a customer is upset, the worst thing you can do is interrupt them or get defensive. Let them fully explain their frustration. Let them fully explain what is wrong. Okay, now this is the biggest urge, and I've seen some guys do this masterfully, and I've seen other people just totally fail. And I'm one of those that early on in my career, this is a fail for me, because when somebody starts laying charges or laying things on me, like you didn't say this, or you didn't say that, the bill is this, and you say, I do not interrupt them. And early on, and I'd say, no, that's not what. So you get into this tit for tat, and it's not going to end well. Now, remember, you're a contractor, you're making your money, you're not going to please everybody. And if you go into it with the mentality you're going to please everybody, then at some point you're going to get your feelings hurt, because you're not going to please everybody, right? So there is this frustration that you want to interrupt them. You want to get defensive because it's your baby. It's what you do. It's your contracting business, or you're an electrician. You're skilled. And how dare they say something about your skill, right? How dare they question you, right? So I think often they want to just be heard. Really, I think they can actually, a lot of times, customers that are upset at something just want to make sure that you hear what they have to say. So you need to use techniques that are called active listening techniques. You need to nod when they're saying something. That's something when they're telling you something and you look at them and you look them in the eye, right? And they're concerned. You got to remember, they're legitimately concerned. They don't know why. They may be wrong. They may not have no basis for them being upset, but they wouldn't be airing it to you if they didn't feel that it was legitimate. So you need to take it as legitimate. Even though in the back of your mind you're going, what a whack job, it doesn't matter. And this is how you need to train your staff, because they need to have these active skills. And it's something that's taught. It's not natural. You can't just wing it, because if you try to just wing it on a job, you're already heavily invested in the emotions on the job, that it's hard for you to turn that hat around and all of a sudden be that compassionate, nodding head, understandable person, because you just worked your ass off for an hour or whatnot, and now they're questioning it or there's some kind of disagreement. It's not that easy. You have to train yourself to do this. All right? Talking in the mirror. I know it sounds stupid, but you have to train yourself. Negotiation skills, understanding, acknowledgement, active listening techniques. For example, nodding. When somebody says something and they ask you, you understand, you nod, and you acknowledge them, okay? You're repeating back key concerns, right? So, for example, you say, so you're saying the power wasn't restored when expected, and you show your concern. You go, they say, well, I'm not happy with this bill, and you say something like, after they talk and you're done, you say something like, didn't we did discuss, right? I just want to double check here, because I could be wrong, but we did discuss this bill and I did explain the parameters, right? I did explain that this is an hour minimum upfront cost, and then after that it's time and material, or time because I'm troubleshooting, or we did understand, talk about that, didn't we? Because if we didn't, I apologize, right? I apologize if we didn't, but I thought we did. And then when they say something, you acknowledge them, but show to them you understand. In many cases, one of the other types of techniques of active listening is to make sure that you repeat back to them things that they say. In other words, if a guy says that, I thought it took a little too long to find the problem, you charged me 3 hours when, and he doesn't know how long it should take you. But instead of you jumping down their throat saying, well, look, I'm telling you, it took me this long. No, you go, I understand. So what the main thing we're upset with, or where you're at, that is that you're upset. The crux to this is because you feel that I took too long to identify your problem. Is that what's got you upset? Now, the reason you do this, and many people don't understand the technique of why you do this active listening and active responding and interacting with the customer that way positively and repetitive on what they say in order to get confirmed acknowledgement, is because it allows you to identify what is upset, so it doesn't become a never-ending upset train, okay, where there's the next thing, or here's the next thing, or here's the next thing, here's the next thing. And it's just hard to battle one thing after other, because if they're upset, they keep piecemealing things on it sometimes. Well, you arrived 15 minutes late, and you didn't confirm my call, or I didn't expect this bill. No. Active listening means, first things when you realize they're upset about something, is you let them talk and you repeat to them. You go, okay, I get it. So you're upset. So the real issue here, so you're saying that you're upset because you feel the bill was too high, that I maybe took too long to troubleshoot a problem. And of course, we didn't know what's wrong with the circuit, so we've got to diagnose it. We've got to look at it. But I understand that's what you're upset about. I understand. Nod as you're saying it. And if they say, yes, that's why I'm upset. Okay. That's it. And then you can move on to other ways to address that and turn an upset customer into one, because you can come up with compromise. But the key focus here is you need to understand why they're upset. So you need to listen before you talk. And this is not as easy. Trust me. Trust me. I get into code debates all the time, and I really suggest practice what I preach. Be quiet. Listen to what they say. And at the end, then I can say, okay, I'm more than happy to address your concern. Are you ready? And now it's their turn to listen. Now, there's a high probability they won't listen. So you have to form patience, okay? So that takes us into the next tip, okay? Because the first tip is let them talk, you talk second, fully let them explain what they're upset about, and that way they get it all out there on the table, and you acknowledge it with active listening techniques like nodding, saying, I understand, repeating what they said so that you're clear. And that way, you can also say something at the end like, is that it? Is that what you're upset about? So that I can address this for you. But is that, yes, that's what I'm up. Okay, it's all out there in the air now, okay? The next thing I have to employ to people, and this is a tip that is as tough as well, and this is called staying calm and professional. Never match their frustration, their energy with your own. That is hard to do, folks. And you have to train your employees to do this. When the old saying, when they go high, you go low, that actually means something in this. So when their volume goes up because they're upset, your volume should go down. Your tone should stay steady. You should avoid any trade slang jargon. Talk to them like a person to person. Don't start quoting technical jargon that they will not understand. And remember, as an employee that you're working for the company, or if you're the owner, don't take it personal. Don't. They don't know you for Adam. You're just there to do a service for them, and they're upset over some element of the service. I get it. It's emotional for them. You do not match their level of frustration. You've got to train yourself to downplay it, okay? Monotone it. Your calmness, your calmness can diffuse tension and bring conversation back to solutions instead of having everything based on emotion. Because emotion is not going to settle anything. It's just two people yelling it out, and ultimately you get a bad review, and it doesn't solve anything, okay? So again, number one, listen first, talk second, use active listening techniques, repeat back to them to be clear. Right, all those type of techniques. Stay calm, stay professional, never match their frustration with your own. Think actively, they go high, you go low. And that is the demeanor, the tone, the evenness, no jargon. Keep it simple. Talk person to person. Relate to the person. Your calmness is going to diffuse the tension. And you may be you're 100% right. You may be 100% right. You're defending yourself. You're pissed off. But you can't because you're servicing the customer. Well, the customer is always right. Well, no, this customer may be wrong, but they're not in a position to be told you're wrong and think that you're going to get anything out of it because you're not. You're just going to get a pissed off customer who's going to not refer you, and you're not going to get any return business, and it's going to make the rest of your day shitty. Right? So stay calm, stay professional. Next, it's not your fault, even if it isn't your fault, even if what you've done is totally legit, the hours it took, the troubleshooting it took, everything is legit. Your bill is legit. You discussed everything up front. And we talk about this in other podcasts, what you should do when you're doing a service call. It's also something we'll be talking in depth in the SEA program, which is a Certified Electrical Energy Auditor program that we're going to be developing. We kind of talk about, even if it's not your fault, even if you did nothing wrong, even if you discussed with the customer everything that they're ticked off about, right? They're upset, but you've talked with them about, you've gone over all this because that's part of your normal protocol. And that's why I tell you to train your staff so they follow this protocol. Even if they have a checklist that's on their clipboard, okay, there's a protocol on how they deal with it. Maybe they pull out this sheet when they have an upset customer and they follow this protocol. Make it bullet points and train on it so that they don't have to memorize it, but they see the bullet point and they understand, okay, calm and professional, listen and nod, repeat to make sure it's clear. The next part about it is, even if it's not your fault, you need to acknowledge the inconvenience or stress they're experiencing. I get it. It's not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. But you do have to understand that at this moment in time, they feel inconvenience and they feel stress. And so whatever is taking place, this has them worked up. Obviously, they wouldn't be presenting it this way to you and elevating and amping up their emotions if there was something that they did not feel that stressed them out or was an inconvenience to them. So a simple statement to them is, I can see why that would be frustrating, or I understand this has caused you trouble and I want to make it right. Those type of things go a long way to building trust, because it immediately, and I've seen this happen, they're ready immediately for you to just jump down their throat. They're ready for a fight, folks. They don't get amped up like that if they're not ready for a fight. Come on. So when you listen to them, you do active listening, you stay calm, you stay professional, you repeat it and you look at them and you go, you know what? I can see where that would be frustrating, or I understand this has caused you some trouble. And you know what? I'm here. I want to make it right for you. I want to make it right and equitable for both of us, because I'm just here to do a job and I'm trying to do the job the best I can. And I understand you're upset. But again, I can see where this could cause you some frustration. So let's see if we can't come together to resolve this. You would be surprised how that goes. Now, I have some folks that say, okay, well, Paul, that sounds like you're saying you're going to discount their bill. You're going to take money off their bill. And it may be. It may be that that's the solution to keep a customer happy. Or maybe giving them a 10% off or 5% off, or giving them if they have another call, then what you'll do is waive the visit fee if you charge visit fees or something like that. So, I mean, there's other ways that you can get around this. And they just want to feel like they won a victory. But you want to get the benefits of the victory. I want them, and after that's all done and everybody's happy, then you can say stuff like, hey, do you mind giving us a referral? I'm glad we could, come and meet in the middle on this thing, and I appreciate you as a customer. Look, people say in business, they say, I don't have to kiss anybody's ass. You're full of shit. You do. Your customer is who you're working for. I don't care if you're in business for yourself. You work for the customer. Even though you may be right and they may be wrong, it's not acknowledging it and saying, you know what, you're wrong, I'm right, I win, pound my chest. You're there to get paid. At the end of the day, you may never see those people again, or they may become a great customer of your company. It's that moment in time, how you deal with the situation. Now, maybe it's a raging lunatic that you don't want to have any more business from them. It doesn't matter. You can still handle this with professionalism and tactfulness and leave amicably. They may never call you again, but you know what? You don't have to deal with this Godzilla. Okay, so everybody wins, but you still get paid. Okay, so acknowledge and have a little empathy for their situation, and really think of ways within your company that you can make things right for somebody. Does your salesperson have the authority to give a 5% discount or 10% discount? You as a company owner have to create a program, because at the end of the day, you want all happy customers, because all happy customers mean that you get referrals. They tell people about it. They go out of their way to go to Yelp or Google to do reviews. And if you're doing it right, you should be supplying this stuff to them so they do go do reviews, right? But you don't want to supply a Google review link or something else to them when you piss them off. That's pointless. But what have you lost? You've lost word of mouth. You've lost a customer. Everybody's unhappy. You're pissed off, right? There's better ways to handle it, guys. There are. And I know it can be frustrating. Now, okay, so have a little empathy, acknowledge their situation, at least acknowledge that they believe they have a situation. You get me? They may be 100% wrong, but at least acknowledge it and think of ways to get from point A to point B. Next, offer clear solutions, not excuses. Guys, do not offer excuses. And this is why I used to mentor electrical contractors and say you need to come up with plans to augment disgruntled customers. Whether you give them something, whether there's a way to do it. Okay, whether you give them a discount on future work, whether or not you give them a discount on the work that you're doing, all those type of things. There's ways to augment that out, and everybody comes away with the win-win. Do you make as much money? Maybe not. And we also talk about how you approach a job so that you don't run into a disgruntled customer, because we teach you how to lay things out up front, how, kind of a sales technique and how your technicians should be interacting with customers. There is a right way and a wrong way for them to interact. And we go over that in our SIA program, how to interact with customers and soft skills and all this kind of stuff. In fact, we got some modules that are soft skill type modules, phone conversations, how to do that. That's all part of our SIA program that is launching this year. Okay. Now, you need to offer clear solutions, not excuses. And shift the focus from what went wrong to what can be done now. Be specific. Where is it sending whether it means that I'm sending a new crew back out, giving an updated timeline, but I'm offering a partial discounts if it's appropriate. Customers respect action way more than you making excuses and apologies alone. I'm sorry. You know what? I can say to somebody, and I've done this. I've done a job for somebody and I go, look, I apologize. I'm sorry. And, I want to make this right. I mean, we want you as a customer. We want you to tell other people. We are honestly trying. We're in business to serve our community. I didn't get in business to get rich. I got in business because I love what I do. And I hope you do. I hope you have a passion for what you do. But don't be afraid to convey that and say, at the end of that, I might say, I understand your frustration, and maybe we could have communicated back and forth this a little different, but I hear you. And here's what I want to do. I'm going to resolve this issue, or I'm going to give you a discount off this, and I will have Johnny or Jimmy or Bill follow up with you in a couple of days to make sure that everything's going all good, because I want you to be taken care of. Now, think about that. Think about that approach. They were upset. Now you're giving them something, and you're also telling them that you're going to follow up, or somebody's going to follow up in a couple of days. And here's the thing. Make sure you follow up. So you should always be keeping good records, good tracking. Make it automated. Put it into your phone, that type of thing, so that you have a follow-up, or whoever's going to follow up. And at the end of the day, you want to nurture that customer, because they called you once. They're bound to have other problems. They've got family members. And I remember as a contractor, when I was doing primary service work, you would not believe the referrals that I got from people that referred it to their brother, to their sister, to their cousin, to their neighbor. And dude, he said, hey, I heard you did some work for so-and-so. And I'm like, yeah, great people. And never say anything bad. Oh yeah, wonderful people. Awesome. I enjoyed doing that work for them. You know what? You can feel like it's not genuine, but if you're that kind of person that sits in the bottom dweller, who's always bitching about everything, always whining about everything, these things are going to be tough for you. They're going to be very tough for you to change your mental picture. And as an owner of a business, I want to make sure that I have active training for my technicians. And that also extends to the people that are on the job site. I want that extend out to those that are doing the installations, roughing in houses, whatever. I don't want playing. I want it very professional. If the owners come on site, I want them to be able to articulate it the same way to that customer. If that customer comes on site and says something to them like, hey, I want to add another receptacle here, that electrician on site who's doing the work should not be moaning and groaning. What he should say is, okay, you know what? Let me know exactly what you're looking for, and I will bring it back to the owner. And they will get back in touch with you, and they'll resolve all that, or they'll get it set up for you, or they'll take care of you, or they'll work it out, because I want that employee to continue working. Now, if you're the owner, you can make those decisions, but I'm just saying I want to keep my employees working, but they have to be very attentive to what the customer may want, because I'm the kind of guy that had no problem doing change orders, adding additional costs to the project. And you know what? I did it and raised costs of projects because of that, and the customers loved me for it. And you would think they'd be the other way around. Like, Jesus, this guy's charging me more freaking money. All I did was ask for another luminaire here or another receptacle here, but I got hit with another $150, $200 bill, an add-on. But if you do it right and you do it tactful, they're more than happy to pay it. They really are. It's just how you approach it. And I think people today don't practice this approach. And I think every business owner should have, on a monthly basis, sales, at least for their technicians. Absolutely, to do that. And lastly, the fifth tip I want to tell you is you must always follow up after a resolution. After the issue's been addressed, whether or not you've given them a discount, whether you say Johnny's going to come back and check on you in a couple of days, whether I'm going to get a discount on future work or whatever you give them. I know one thing that I used to do is I had these cards that were discount cards. And when somebody would have an upset like that, they would get upset, or if there was an upset. I didn't have a lot of upset customers, but if you did have one, you give them this card and say, look, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you 5% off your today, because I get it. I acknowledge that type of thing. I'm going to give you this 5%, but you know what? This card's also going to give everybody 5% off as well. Everybody that that you give them this number on this card and this little referral number, they're going to off the bat get 5%, because I really want you to be happy. And I apologize if there's something happened here that caused us to go and you be unsatisfied. I want you to be satisfied. So here's this card. It's an exclusive card. I don't just give these out. It's got a code on here. This is your 5% on anything you do in the future from us. And then anybody mention this number and they can get 5% off of their job too, or whatever they may be, hanging a ceiling fan, roughing in a basement. I don't care. Roughing in the building, wiring their house, whatever. I want to do this for you. And so keep this card handy and that type of thing. And so there's just so many ways that you could handle this, and you'd be surprised. 5%, which may absolutely be nothing to your bottom line. Okay. Maybe $20 if it's 5% to a $400 bill. At the end of the day, they got something. They won. They feel like they're victorious. They had their issues resolved, right? And so, again, we're going to talk about all that type of training in SIA. If you're interested in SIA, you can go to the website. It's not fully operational yet because we're still developing the backbone stuff, but it's electricalenergyaudit.com, electricalenergyaudit.com, all one word. And SIA is going to have a lot of training on the back end, because we're not selling a product. We're selling a service and a professionalism. And that's what SIA is all about. And it's all tailored around energy management. So it's all types of things with monitoring systems, controlling receptacles, smart homes, all that type of stuff to help extend your business, grow your business. If you're an electrical contractor already, if you're an electrician who wants to do a side hustle, this is great for you. It's great for you to get involved in SIA. And so you can find out more about that by going, again, to electricalenergyaudit.com, that type of thing. And, of course, down in the notes, it'll have a link to that website. All right, folks, those are my 5. Really think about it. If you wrap your head around it, listen to this podcast again. These are simple approaches, but the moment that you get into this mindset to approach it and tackle it, and remember that when it starts out, you want to take a disgruntled customer and turn them into a happy referring customer. That return on investment is amazing. You worked hard to get that lead. You don't want to leave any of them laying on the table. Create a follow-up program. There's all different types of things. And even in SIA, we talk about getting a newsletter and a follow-up program that actually allows you to promote other products that you have to this customer. And they acknowledge they're going to get these, so it's not spam. Okay, they acknowledge they're going to get them because there's a way to explain to them as part of the conversation, and they're going to want this type of thing because you're going to offer things like recommendations for when they need to change things, or check this, or look at this, or smoke alarms, check this, or what. You're going to give them stuff they want, and we're going to teach how to do it. And with SIA, we're going to give you some turnkey things like turnkey newsletters, turnkey things that you can just fill in your name and send it out. That's the kind of network that we're creating over there. So it's something that's big. It's been a year in the workings. It's still not ready. It probably will be ready by the end of this year, but we're also going to allow people to pre-register for it probably in late September or early October. You can pre-register if you're an electrical contractor or an electrician, that type of thing. But anyway, those are my thoughts for that, folks. Hopefully you get something out of that and you've, put it to work, make a little money, and, keep things rolling. Till next time, folks, stay safe God bless.
Thanks for tuning into another electrifying episode of the Master the NEC podcast. We hope you're feeling more powered up and ready to tackle the electrical world with the knowledge and confidence you need to succeed. Remember, in the electrical trade, knowledge is power, and we're here to make sure you stay plugged into the latest insights, tips, and code updates. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share the podcast with your fellow electricians and industry pros. Until next time, keep your tools sharp, your circuits clear, and your mind focused, because here at the Master the NEC podcast, we're all about sparking your success. Stay safe, stay smart, and keep mastering the trade. From all of us here at Electrical Code Academy, thank you for all your support, and we will see you on the next amazing Master the NEC podcast episode.